Hey there, this is the One Boom, and I am sort of doing my least favorite thing here and talking about the next Call of Duty 1 month after the current one just came out. But to be fair, this is what I cover on this channel, and some relevant news just happened about it, and I have a lot to say. Recently, there was a leak that stated that Modern Warfare 4, or the next Infinity Ward title, is essentially a carbon copy of Modern Warfare 2 from 2022. Featuring high visual recoil, no dots on minimap, all the things that we were pretty critical of in 2022, and even more critical of now, but more on that later. I had multiple people coming into my chat asking me if I've heard the news, and they used the word news, N-E-W-S, news, implying that it's an actual report or fact, but instead, what I found by going to Twitter was that it was just a leak stating that a currently in development game by Infinity Ward has characteristics of Infinity Ward's previous game. I hope I don't have to explain to anybody watching this that not only are leaks not news, if leaks were news, that one wouldn't be news. Early leaked versions of Call of Duty always look like the previous one before it, because that's the last thing they worked on, so that's the templates they start adjusting and the things they start playing around with. And from what I understand about development when it comes to Call of Duty games is that first they try to get whatever new version of the engine that they're using to be as good as possible. You know, the actual back-end, less sexy stuff, make sure all that works. And then later in the development, it's, balance and maps and mini-map and perks and movement speeds and stuff like that. I know teams work on stuff simultaneously, I just know that the initial push on a Call of Duty game is all back-end, unsexy engine stuff. So yeah, it would make sense that right now the game is probably running and it's using a lot of stat templates from their previous title for visual recoil and stuff like that. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but my one example for this would be that there was an attachment in Modern Warfare 2 that everybody used because it made your gun's visual recoil and shake a lot less pronounced, making the guns feel more like classic COD guns, and they could be building that into the game by default, and that would just make a lot of sense, similar to how the dexterity perk in the Black Ops 7 beta allowed you to aim down sight after wall jumping or wall sliding, and then they built it into the game by default and changed how the dexterity perk worked between the beta and launch. Kind of how like Modern Warfare 2019's beta had no minimap at all, and then they made a compromise and did minimap with no dots. Not my favorite compromise, but at least we had a frickin' minimap. What I'm saying is that things change, and things change from beta to launch, let alone from a year from now. Anyway, the internet basically exploded and treated this like it was a solid fact, absolute news, and to me this is rather funny. Let me explain, because this is gonna get a little messy. First, Treyarch is making huge strides into applying community feedback to the game, and Activision is as well by doing things like adding open matchmaking to Black Ops 7. That's currently the motif of the series, and whether you want to blame low sales, Battlefield 6 success, I don't really care. Despite their game still being one of the #1 most played games on PlayStation and Xbox, it's underperforming to them to the degree that they are locking in and doing a lot more for the community. Now, in the midst of Treyarch being incredibly open with devlogs and actually giving us information about what they're working on and why, and the feedback that they're accounting for and why not, Activision came out and said that they're not doing enough to basically appease their fans. The statement essentially said from Activision, we're not doing enough for you and we plan to do more, we plan to be better for you, we're sorry about how things are, we hope you give us another chance. Basically what they said. And people for some reason were dogging on this, and I just want to briefly, small tangent here, when we hate on a company for what it does, let's not also hate on it for when it apologizes. It feels like there isn't actually like a community of critical game analysts that are looking at it and critiquing the bad business practices, because even when we get what we want, or even when the studio speaks up and says, we're fucking up, I'm sorry, we still dog on them seemingly no matter what. And I'm not saying we owe them flowers and chocolates, it's just sometimes it feels like, some of you guys, you don't want the game to get better, you just live to shit on it because of, some massive insecurity in your life. I don't know. So that tangent's over. Back to why this is really funny to me. The last time Call of Duty was this attentive to our needs and to the community was with Infinite Warfare. They knew the community was already burnt out on advanced movement games before IW released, and they didn't realize just how much people, one, didn't trust Infinity Ward, and two, were sick of advanced movement and futuristic shooters. And I mean, God, we got Modern Warfare Remastered thrown in there. We had some of the best post-launch content for the time, especially relative to Black Ops 3, the game that the year before completely screwed over its players and penny and dimed everybody to death. Which they would do again in Black Ops 4, by the way. Like, if you complain about expensive bundles in current COD games, I imagine you didn't live through Black Ops 3 and 4. I know better doesn't always mean good, but in this case for me it does. Anyway, point being, the last time I saw this level of community interaction from a studio was Infinity Ward on the title they released before Modern Warfare 2019. You couldn't have convinced anybody at the time that IW released IW that MW would be their next title. It felt as if Infinity Ward had lost their identity as the more gritty, large map, realistic studio and went more into just being a Treyarch clone, because Infinite Warfare is sort of just a refined version of Black Ops 3 if you're, stripping away all the nuances and stuff of game design, but essentially, just, for my argument's sake, I don't want this video to be 35 minutes, essentially, IW and Black Ops 3 were very, very similar, and nobody was expecting Modern Warfare 2019. So this is why this is so funny to me. Not only was the last time we were listened to as much as we are now, I would consider to be during Infinite Warfare's life cycle. Blame Battlefield, blame low sales, I don't care what you blame. That's what it was. That was an Infinity Ward game. There's no way anybody predicted MW coming out after Infinite Warfare. And that's the same thing happening now. 4 years after Modern Warfare 22, they are releasing a new game. But you're thinking, well, these leaks aren't very good, and I don't trust them with the franchise anymore. And I don't care what Activision says. I don't trust Activision. I don't care if Treyarch's doing well. Treyarch, IW's IW. Well, that's another thing. Treyarch wasn't always Treyarch. I'm sorry. I played Black Ops 3. I played Black Ops 4. Those games' version of community engagement was just adding more things for you to purchase. I never felt less respected by this franchise than playing Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4. Gameplay aside, I actually liked the gameplay of those games for different reasons and in different amounts, but I can't say that I felt very respected as a player because Activision was obviously taking advantage of the Treyarch hype, the endless in Treyarch we trust and David Vonderhaar we trust nonsense that was happening at the time, led them into turning those games into open market tests. What's an open market test? Basically them trying to see what we're willing to pay for. And then they made like $1 billion on supply drops. I'm not even kidding. I think they made about $1 billion on supply drops. It was insane. And then Black Ops 4 after the debacle of Black Ops 3. And even though Infinite Warfare, MWR, and COD World War II did it better, Black Ops 4 had a season pass, a battle pass, and then added supply drops with weapons in them later. You can't make that shit up. So the Treyarch that we like now with Black Ops 7, who's listening to our feedback, removing doors, changing perks, changing weapons, adjusting maps, listening to us, doing dev vlogs where they explain what their process is and why they're doing what they're doing. The Treyarch of now, I genuinely never thought would exist after Black Ops 4, but I was wrong again. In the same way that I never thought that my favorite Call of Duty of the last 6 years would be a Sledgehammer COD game, but it was with Modern Warfare 3, a game built on the blueprint of Modern Warfare 2, meaning Modern Warfare 2 was essentially a really large update away from being way more fun to play when it comes to perk balance, movement, and stealth mechanics. Crazy. We never know what to expect from developers. Anyway, what's the actual news? What's the actual thing that's happened here? Because I'm not just responding to the leak and scrutinizing the incredible hyperbolic scrutiny. Infinity Ward just posted this on Twitter, sharing that you shouldn't believe everything you read online. And boy, I couldn't have said it better myself, except for I did during a live stream. I said this. I said that they're probably going to come out with a statement saying, and here's the statement. So now we have a statement from Activision saying that they want to do more for the players, that they're sorry that they've let us down. And then we have Infinity Ward saying, don't believe the shit you're hearing about us online, meaning they have a plan. They have read the feedback, they're applying the feedback aggressively, and whether this is because of the Microsoft acquisition, low sales, or just the rise in competition they're looking at. They're looking at a graph of projected competition in the next 6 years. and they're trying to gear up for war. If that's the case, great. Whatever makes me have a better COD experience, I don't care to mingle about the reasons. But I have to say, the discourse is disappointing. I know that Call of Duty players tend to be hyperbolic, and this community has let me down time and time again when it comes to critical thought, or even just the ability to fucking read. But I have to say, acting like Infinity Ward killed your parents is the weirdest trend I've seen in the franchise. And this is coming from me, and those of you who know me know that while I really liked Modern Warfare 2019, I described it back when it came out with the following analogy. I described it as them giving me the exact, like, Philly cheesesteak sandwich I wanted, but, like, the cheese is somehow not melted properly, and it's kind of cold in the middle, but the bread is burnt. That's what it was. It was exactly what I was craving from COD, but burnt and undercooked at the same time. And yeah, I am not a fanboy for that game. I'll defend it. I don't think it was Call of Duty Hitler, like some people do, but I genuinely think that if they were doing more things that they did in Infinite Warfare and in Ghosts, I actually think MW 2019 would have been better. I think MW 2019 with the COD Ghost perk system just plopped in there is a completely better game that I would have loved way more. But there were a lot of things in MW 2019 that made it difficult to love, and I threw those scrutinies out all year. So if you're new to the channel and you don't know this about me, I scrutinize the hell out of even my favorite Call of Duty games. My cons list is always more detailed than my pros list, and I had a lot of cons with Modern Warfare 2019. I thought for sure that they were going to nerf the Ghost perk, fix the minimap, and change footsteps, and add Dead Silence as a perk, and just everything would go back to normal, and everybody could calm down, but they never did. So trust me when I say I do have reservations about Infinity Ward's stubbornness and inability to listen to the community. Because almost every problem other than map design was just sort of expounded upon in Modern Warfare 22, keeping with a lot of slower mechanics and louder footsteps, and everything that I didn't like about Modern Warfare 2019 was even made worse by their stupid charge rate perk system that took most of the life cycle for them to basically make obsolete, but for some reason still not remove. So I don't know if they're just really bad at adjusting stuff that's core to the engine of the game that they made, but they seem to be either just too stubborn or too stupid to listen to feedback, and that does concern me. However, 4 years later, I'm not holding a grudge. After MW2, they did Ghosts. After Ghosts, they had IW. After IW, they had Modern Warfare. MW2 was surprising to me because it was the first COD in a while that Infinity Ward released that's very similar to their previous one, down to it being problematically similar to their previous one. I think Modern Warfare 22 was mostly them making the new Warzone 2.0 engine, and I think everything else was undercooked, and I think everything else that they did after that game was just work on the next COD and work on the next COD engine, and it just left a sour taste in our mouths, and it felt like Sledgehammer had to come in and wipe their ass, and it was kind of just uncomfortable to be an IW fan. But that doesn't mean I'm not gonna hey, let's just see how it goes. And I will remind you all that the last game to actually try to fix the disbanding lobbies issue was Modern Warfare 22. So I know Nero Cinema has been doing Call of Duty content and news since 2011, but maybe just go back and play the games or read their feature lists, because you can't put disbanding lobbies on the list of things Infinity Ward started when it clearly wasn't their philosophy that affected Sledgehammer and Treyarch, right? Because we just got out of having disbanding lobbies. You're gonna tell me that Infinity Ward, while making the next Call of Duty, was telling them in Black Ops 6 to have disbanding lobbies? No, that's fucking Activision. And you can't list night vision maps as a problem. Those were awesome. And you can't have disbanding lobbies when they were the ones that implemented a stay with team feature. So this is what I'm saying. There is a cognitive dissonance when discussing Infinity Ward. They've made so many mistakes. They have pissed me off endlessly. I'm not in defense of them, I'm in defense of the concept of them making a new game, and I hope that the new game is better. Call of Duty has released every year since I was not taller than a kitchen counter, so I would like to know, when did it become weird to hope that in the next 12-month cycle, the next Call of Duty does things that I like? When did that begin to just make me the dumbest person on the planet. And my final take here, and my final thing I have to say, otherwise this video is going to go on way too long, but I'm sorry, not everything that Infinity Ward did is so bad and so unplayable and so egregious and clearly not irreparable that it warrants making lists like this. Like, complaining about satcoms in 2025, it's like, okay, never try anything new ever? Maybe they just were hearing that Call of Duty was the same every year, so they at least wanted to change how we call in a UAV? Listing stuff like tac sprint as if it was game-breaking? I don't think it was. Was it necessary? No, but everyone complained that Modern Warfare 2019 is too slow, but that was the game that had tac sprint introduced, which allowed you to go faster. You know what I'm saying? Like, not everything that they did, like adding a door to a building you could open and close, was like game ruining. Oh, I can't even play this, it's so garbage. I'm sorry, I can't bite that bone. It doesn't make any sense to me to list everything they've done. Like, now for some reason, having the fastest time to kill is wrong. I thought every Call of Duty was supposed to be somewhat different. So Treyarch's design principles and Infinity Ward's design principles are different. But now we have Nero saying Gunsmith in general as a negative thing, as if Gunsmith didn't reinvent the Call of Duty YouTube scene when it came to loadouts and class customization. And I would say that the worst iterations of Gunsmith were not Infinity Wards. I would argue that they were Cold Wars and Vanguards. Minus the weapon tuning in MW2, but I mean, yeah, that was just a misstep. Another misstep, you know, for sure, but Jesus. There is so much negativity in the midst of now Infinity Ward saying don't believe the leaks, Activision saying we're sorry, Treyarch is listening to our feedback, we finally are out of strict matchmaking, we are finally playing with open matchmaking, and I'm sorry, I don't believe that after everything that's just happened, and declining sales and promises being made, I just don't feel like they're about to go commit PR suicide and piss off everybody with a YouTube channel and a Twitter account with their next title. I actually feel like they're gonna play it really safe and kind of steer to the middle of the road more than I'd prefer. Actually, everything that I'm looking at, applying some critical thought instead of reactionary, emotional, Infinity Ward fucked my girlfriend thinking, I'm just looking at it like, I imagine it's more likely we get a very safe Call of Duty from Infinity Ward. Something with, you know, a lot of features probably pulled in from Black Ops 7 in the same way Infinite Warfare pulled from Black Ops 3. When they were developing Ghosts, the narrative at the time was that Call of Duty's the same every year, so Call of Duty Ghosts tried to shake things up. And now when they're developing their next game, the narrative is that Call of Duty needs to actually listen to its community and give COD players what COD players want. Which is kind of a normal progression for, you know, 10 plus years later. It makes sense. Now Call of Duty's way more of a household name. It's been around for like way longer. We're not fresh off the Xbox 360 anymore. We know what we want. COD players are COD players, and you have to appeal to COD players instead of trying to appease people over at IGN and G4, you know, it's a different era. So this makes sense to me. And I just look at all this, right? And I see all this stuff that makes total sense to me. That just, it makes sense that Infinity Ward's going to play it safer. That they are going to try to avoid the negative feedback that they received in MW2 and MW 2019 to capture what Treyarch's capturing right now. I don't imagine Activision would be very happy, or that Microsoft would be very happy with Infinity Ward ignoring fans and doing whatever the hell they want, because right now, if your competitive shooter pleases, you know, random casuals that buy the game at Walmart when they grocery shop in the winter, and on the flip side pisses off all of the people that have Twitter accounts and Reddit accounts and YouTube accounts, and pisses off streamers, like, you want your game to be streamable, you want your game to be, like, you know, searchable on YouTube, you want your game to be in TikToks, and you want your game to be in YouTube Shorts. And now we've learned from the mistakes of Modern Warfare 2019 and Modern Warfare 22. We've learned from the last 6 years of Call of Duty. It's not the same series anymore. It's not the same community anymore. It's been over half a decade. I haven't been able to rightly predict what this series is going to do, because I genuinely thought their next game after Modern Warfare 2019 was going to be very different, because even though Modern Warfare 2019 sold well, Infinity Ward hadn't stuck to one thing in quite a while. They made MW2, needed Sledgehammer's help with MW3, made Call of Duty Ghosts, then made Infinite Warfare, then made Modern Warfare, so I wasn't expecting MW2 to be what it was. But now I'm sort of predicting a safe Call of Duty, and I might be wrong again. Maybe we do get Modern Warfare 2.2. I don't know. Like, that would suck for me. I would hate that. I'm just not willing to pre-order a hate boner for it without knowing anything about it. Especially now that Infinity Ward saw leaks about their game being similar to their last one and told us to not believe them. But of course, I'm biased. I love Call of Duty. I'm a Call of Duty YouTuber. The worst Call of Duty games at least give me a solid 5 months of fun and entertainment that I try to, squeeze every little drop out, and I try to make videos and live stream it. I've been doing this shit for a long time. Call of Duty means something different to me than it's gonna mean to you guys, and I think that's totally fair. I'd hope that's totally fair. So just let me be a little biased here. But even outside of my bias, I feel like there's a level of severity people are talking about Infinity Ward with that doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry you didn't like their last few games, but there's a lot of people out there right now that haven't liked the last few Treyarch games, and if you made it to this point in the video, I'll ask you, what do we do with the large portion of Call of Duty casuals that do like slower, more realistic, grounded games that play like Modern Warfare 2019 and 22? What do we do with them? Tell them fuck you in this annual series that pumps out 10 games every 10 years plus COD Mobile plus Warzone? You don't get to have the experience you want from it anymore. Do we want every COD to be like a Treyarch COD now? Do we want every COD to be like a Sledgehammer Games COD, which is sort of a indescribable, vague mix of the other studios? I don't really know if I want that. I think the only thing I could say that Call of Duty could do that would just be an actual home run is release a faithful, not microtransaction-riddled remaster of a previous game. But even that might leave a lot of people that were wanting a new Call of Duty that didn't grow up with whatever game they remastered, they might just feel completely left out. And I feel like that has to matter. Like, have some basic human empathy. Not everybody wants every COD to play the same. And for people that don't like the ice skates, slide around corners, hyper-competitive, simple Twitch shooter, they've had a really rough 12 months, and they're gonna have another rough 12 months leading up to the next Infinity Ward game. So if the next Infinity Ward game doesn't let you slide around and wall jump and omni movement in all the directions, I kinda get it. And if you want to play those games, well, you've had 24 months of them. Maybe shut the hell up. Oh, and I guess while I'm still here, if you guys are wondering, all I really want from the next Infinity Ward COD is do whatever you're gonna do. I don't care if it's slower or more methodical or more tactical or campy than the last two COD games. It'd be a nice change of pace, honestly. I don't mind that. Just the minimap has to work as normal, where it's a friend and enemy to everyone. Dead Silence or Ninja needs to be a perk. And Ghost should only work when moving, or be like a 3-point perk and bring back the Ghost perk system, but more refined? Yeah, maybe? Anyway, you guys take COD 2 seriously, and that's coming from somebody who's trying to make a living off of it. See you when I see you. Goodbye! Oh my god. Leave me alone, please. Leave me alone.
Go back, mission is a failure.
Thank you so much, Carlos, for the donations today. You're really making my day.